Long before stories were written, before drums carried gossip from town to town, there lived a girl whose courage was so fierce that even the feared chiefs and sorcerers whispered her name only at sunrise, because, at night, the mere thought of her sent chills across the land. Her name was Asor. In the lively town of Akwaboso, nestled between the rolling hills of the eastern region, palm trees swayed like watchful sentinels, and the river Abawasa sparkled under the sun's gentle eye. Akwaboso was famous for its bustling marketplace, brilliant weavers, and a long line of proud warriors. But one thing troubled the town more than anything else: the powerful people who misused their strength, chiefs who bullied, elders who intimidated, warriors who fought only the weak, and sorcerers who demanded fear more than respect. The people of Akwaboso lived with bowed heads and sealed lips, but that was before she was born, before the day destiny nudged the earth and whispered, "Courage is coming." Asor was born under a sky that split open with lightning, though no rain fell. The old midwife, Mama Sarah, declared, "Hey, this child carries the fire of the ancestors." Her mother laughed nervously, assuming it meant the girl would simply grow bold and talkative. But even before she could walk, they noticed things. Asor never cried at loud noises. She reached for burning firewood without fear. She walked right up to goats, dogs, even to the stubborn ram no one went near. The women in the village often said, "This child does not know fear." But they were wrong. Asor understood fear. She just refused to bow to it. When Asor was 12, trouble struck Akwaboso like a flood. The notorious Chief Obrafo, known across the region for stealing lands and commanding warriors as if they were ants, arrived to claim a sacred drum that belonged to the people of Akwaboso. This drum, Nyan Konton, carried the spiritual heartbeat of the town. It called the ancestors blessed harvests and protected children from illness. Without it, the town would be spiritually empty. Obrafo's messengers announced boldly, "The chief says the drum is his now." The town trembled. The elders tried reasoning. The warriors tried threatening. The women wept. The men clenched their fists. But no one dared confront Obrafo. He was too powerful, too cruel. But that night, as the chiefs held emergency meetings and the elders complained bitterly, Asor stood up suddenly from beside her mother's cooking fire. "Mama, if no one will go and take back our drum, I will." Her mother nearly dropped the ladle. "You? Asor. Obrafo will swallow you whole." "What is a chief?" Asor asked calmly. "If not a man with flesh and breath, just like us." Word spread quickly, too quickly. By morning, the entire town gathered to stop her. But Asor looked each elder in the eye and said something that froze their tongues. "If I die trying, then let my death shame all of you who did nothing. Shame is powerful. Silence is heavier." By the time she left Akwaboso, not a single person had the courage to follow her. But every heart followed her footsteps in spirit. She trekked alone to Obrafo's fortress. At the gates, two massive warriors blocked her path. "Girl, go home before your bones are used for soup," one barked. But Asor simply smiled. If my bones will be soup, then let me choose the pot. Step aside. The warriors burst into laughter until Asor sprinted to between them like a flash and slipped into the courtyard before they could react. She moved like a whisper, climbed walls like a lizard, and found the sacred drum locked in a hut guarded by men twice her size. She didn't fight them. No, she outwitted them. From a rooftop, she threw a stone that hit one warrior's head. When he spun, confused, she threw another at the opposite side. Soon the two guards were swinging wildly at each other, each convinced the other had struck him first. While they fought, Asor snuck in, grabbed the drum, and escaped into the forest with the speed of the Harmattan wind. By dawn, she returned to Akwaboso carrying Nyan Konton on her head, as if it were no heavier than a basket of oranges. The entire town erupted into celebration, singing, dancing, praising her name. Obrafo, humiliated and furious, sent threats, but the threats never arrived because tales of Asor's boldness spread like wildfire. And suddenly, even Obrafo feared the girl who walked into his fortress and stole what grown warriors could not retrieve. Months passed, and Asor's bravery became the shield of the town. But a new danger soon slithered into their peace. The feared sorcerer, Nana Dwamena, known for making rain fall backwards and causing men to speak in riddles, arrived at Akwaboso demanding tribute, young goats, palm wine, and beads. The elders trembled, the people obeyed, because no one crossed Dwamena and lived. But Asor stepped forward again. Why must we give him our harvest? Has he tilled even one plot of our land? The sorcerer's eyes narrowed, dark as storm clouds. You dare question me, child? Asor shrugged. I do, and I'll question you again. What power do you have that cannot be broken by truth? Dwamena laughed, a sound like cracking bones. If you mock me, little girl, I will turn you into a stone. But Asor approached him slowly with the steady confidence of a warrior queen. If you could turn people to stone, she said calmly, you would not waste your time frightening villagers. You would have turned all your enemies long ago. Gasps filled the air. Children ducked behind their mothers. Even the warriors took a step back. But the sorcerer froze. Asor had spoken a truth no one had dared voice. With a slow exhale, Dwamena's shoulders sagged. The illusion of power slipped from him like snake skin. He threw his staff to the ground and muttered, You have stripped me bare, girl. You have spoken in a way that only a fearless spirit can. Then, to everyone's shock, he bowed. Your courage has defeated my reputation. Go and live with blessings. From that day on, Dwamena never troubled Akwaboso again. Asor's name travelled far, even to Asantamanso, a town known for birthing warriors. There lived the infamous three mighty brothers, Kwame Boafo, who lifted boulders with one hand, Yor Brantuo, whose voice could silence a whole crowd, and Kojo Tawia, who wrestled lions in the forest. They heard that a girl had become a legend, and their pride burned hotter than the midday sun. They arrived at Akwaboso and announced loudly, We have come to test the courage of the girl who makes men tremble. The town panicked. No one could defeat the brothers, not even together. But Asor stepped forward, unbothered. What do you want? She asked simply. Our challenge is simple, Kwame Boafo declared. If you can win 3 trials, we will bow to you. Agreed, Asor said without hesitation. Kwame Boafo placed a massive boulder before her. "If you can lift this, I will admit your strength." Asor looked at the boulder. Then she looked at the crowd. Then she laughed lightly. "Why must I lift what 10 men cannot? Strength is not always in the arms." She turned to the nearest young palm tree, chopped it down with a cutlass, carved it into a long lever, and wedged it beneath the stone. With 3 boys helping her push down, the boulder lifted easily. Kwame Boafo's jaw dropped. "Hey, this girl thinks like 10 hunters." Next, your Brantuo stepped forward. "My voice can silence a gathering of 50. If you can command the people more than I can, you win this trial." Without warning, he bellowed, "Silence!" And the entire town fell quiet as dust. Then Asor raised one hand and spoke in a gentle tone. "Let everyone who believes I have ever protected this town speak my name." "Asor!" The shout shook the skies. Your Brantuo bowed his head. Kojo Tawia then released a captive forest leopard, its eyes glowing and furious. "If you fear nothing, stand your ground." The leopard charged. The crowd screamed. But Asor remained still. At the last second, she lifted her hand and clapped. Once, a sharp, thunderous clap that echoed across the plain. The leopard skidded to a halt, confused. A SOR stepped forward slowly, looked into its eyes, and whispered, "You too are a child of the forest. I am not your enemy." The leopard bowed its head and retreated into the bushes. Kojo Tawia dropped to his knees. "You are braver than any warrior we've known." The 3 mighty brothers bowed deeply before Asor, acknowledging her courage. Years passed, and Asor became the youngest protector Akwaboso ever had. She was not a queen, not a chief, not a priestess. Yet the people trusted her more than all combined. Powerful people feared her not because she fought them, but because she saw through them. She understood what frightened them most: the truth, the boldness, and the courage they did not possess. Mothers told their children, "Grow up brave like Asor." Drummers composed songs about her, griots told tales of her bravery, and travelers carried her name across the land. And even after she grew old and passed into the realm of the ancestors, people in Akwaboso still whispered, "When courage is needed, call on Asor. She is the spirit who makes the mighty tremble." True power does not come from size, magic, wealth, or fear. It comes from courage, wisdom, and the strength to speak the truth even when the whole world is silent.